Now, face the mighty bison.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving in the realm of leaks for Marvel Tokon. This game's been out for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have a major tournament CEO coming up. There's going to be a lot of people there. But before then, leaks are already happening. Now, we do not know whether or not these leaks are real. It comes from a very credible source, and there's enough evidence here to make me believe that some of these names will come true. But all of these, I don't know. We know that Marvel Tokon, the game itself, has a lot of references to many different characters referenced by Deadpool. So honestly, these characters can appear in many different ways. So let's not jump the gun too early and say the word confirmed. But before we move on, if you guys are new here, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on the video, and also turning on notifications. But on the topic of confirmations, Phoenix Cyclops was confirmed last month and was revealed at Comic-Con. Phoenix Cyclops is a little bit different than the normal version we're all used to. He has a little bit more attitude and a little bit more tenacity. That character will be releasing quite soon, actually. They also revealed that there will be 3 other DLC characters that will all be released within 1 year's time. The characters themselves will be released about 3 to 4 months apart. I'll put a screenshot up so you guys can see the time gaps where they're supposed to fall. But then also with that year 1 pass, we will be getting a stage, just one, but it is a stage nonetheless. Now, when you talk about the previous guesses as to who these 3 DLC characters were, people were kind of following the team format, and this one seemed to be kind of a cosmic theme, starting off with Phoenix Cyclops. So that led people to think that it would follow up with like a Silver Surfer, a Nova, and then maybe a version of Thor. If we're lucky, we could get an Odin Force type of Thor. Because for those of you who played the story, you know that Deadpool plays around with the idea of who's in charge of Asgard. I don't know if it's specifically confirmed that it's Odin, but having Thor step up in an Odin Force type manner would be very interesting. And then there was also other ideas out there as well. I know people wanted Colossus, Namor, and Emma Frost. This would complete the comic book team Phoenix Force, which is something that Phoenix Cyclops is a part of. So those are 2 different directions that they could go. When you talk about Nova, Silver Surfer, and Thor, there's many different references all throughout the game already about them, especially in the comics as well. But these leaks that we're looking at here today go in a completely different direction, and I'm honestly shocked. These leaks come from XOX Leaks, who post a lot of information and a lot of leaks for Marvel Rivals. They're very accurate, and they have built a reputation over the past 3 or 4 years, so this definitely sparked a massive conversation. In their tweet, the team of data miners say possible prototype / future characters mentioned in files, and they also note that this is subject to change. Once again, we're not using the word confirmed. Now, we have leaked stages mentioned as well, and they say in that tweet, possible future stages mentioned in the files. The first one is Klitnar. For those of you who played Marvel Rivals or just simply know about the comics, you know that this is the home world of the symbiote species. Can someone comment down below how many different symbiote types there is? Because obviously the most known is Venom and Carnage. Venom is in Marvel Rivals, Carnage is in Marvel Tokon. Having a stage that pay homage to those characters would be really interesting, and I think there's a lot of different things they could do with that stage, especially with the wall breaking aspect of it. Another one is Sanctum Sanctorum. This one obviously is the headquarters and residence of Doctor Strange. This one is crazy because we'll talk about Doctor Strange in just a second, but they also have endless possibilities with this stage. Once again, following that cosmic theme, Doctor Strange is one of the most cosmic entities in Marvel because of his magic abilities, the time stone, and everything he's able to do. The last stage mentioned is simply Japan. Now, it does not say a city, whether it's Kyoto or whether it's Tokyo, but I think this makes sense. If you look at how heavily the game focuses on New York, and considering that this game is made by Japanese developers, I think that they would want to highlight one of their cities, most notably probably Tokyo, but then make that like a key point in the game. So I think that idea is fantastic. Which of these 3 stages, if any, will be the one that we see in year 1 is yet to be seen. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's Doctor Strange stage. That one makes the most sense. But if we move on to the leaked DLC characters now, once again, these are not confirmed. There is some evidence, but it's not confirmed. The first one you have is Doctor Strange. And of course, this matches stage as we previously talked about. So those 2 things add up and makes it a little bit more likely that he shows up. Also, if you take into consideration how big of a role he's playing in the movies, but also he's not one of the characters who's like leaving. Doctor Strange has been prevalent in Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch and he also has his own movies. Whereas Iron Man and Tony Stark, they're going back and forth between this retirement, this death, and they're getting brought back by Marvel to try to save the movies. But Doctor Strange, he seems like he's going to be there for quite some time. And also in the comics, he's very, very powerful, arguably one of the most powerful. The comic people who really knows things, they can say how powerful he is, but he falls in line with the whole theme of cosmic, if that is what the developers are going for. The next character you have is the Wasp. Her powers is very unique, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out in gameplay. But the thing about this character is obviously you have to talk about the developers choosing her over Ant-Man, who has kind of a similar type of powers. These two characters are very intertwined. But it makes sense if you think about what they did with Black Panther. A lot of people were very surprised to see them go with the female version instead of the male version. And if they were to choose Wasp, it would be that kind of thing all over again. But not only would I be okay with that, and not only was I okay with that with the female Black Panther, because I think it's cool to give different characters different looks. There's so many different versions of these characters. Why pick the same one every time when you don't have to? That's one. But then two, I feel like this character has so much potential, and it'll be cool to see what they're capable of, what they're able to do with this character in a fighting game. Next up, you have the iconic Gambit. Obviously one of the most iconic characters when you talk about the world of X-Men. This character will also be in the movies. I think in the Doctor Doom movie, he's like doing a blast and breaking up a fight between a bunch of people. That will be a big moment for him. Considering that the future of the Marvel movies will be focusing on the mutant saga, and Gambit is one of the most iconic. He made an appearance in so many different ways already, and he will continue to do so. It makes sense to have this character somewhere at the forefront of that DLC lineup to coincide with the beginning of the mutant saga in the movies. Also, another character who falls in line with that is Daredevil. This guy is super iconic. Well before the movies, well before the Netflix animated show, this guy dominated the comics. He dominated the early, what was that game for PlayStation 2? I remember that guy swinging around going crazy. This guy is fire. Hopefully around the time he makes his way into the game, there will be like some movie or something that they have planned for this character to coincide with it. But regardless, this character could stand on his own just like Deadpool, and would be insane for this game. I've seen Deadpool fan accounts already celebrating with just the fact that he might be there. So this is a good one. Lastly, you have, well, not lastly, because this is a two-parter, but lastly, you have the Thing. The Thing, once again, super iconic, part of Fantastic Four, and he also had his own new movie that kind of ushered in this Doctor Doom style threat. It seems like him and his teammates will play a big role in the Mutant Saga. The reason why I keep mentioning that, because these games are mirroring the movies. If you look at Marvel Rivals, if you look at Marvel Tokon, whatever the movies are planning to do, the games kind of do it as well. And sometimes the games is even ahead of the movies. If you look at Ghost Rider being in Tokon, and then a Ghost Rider movie being made a couple of years later. Marvel Rivals Blade was supposed to release the same time as the movie Blade, but it was canceled. And then Fantastic Four and the movie did the same thing. So those are things that you could point to and refer back to see whether or not it's adding up. Now there's another account on Twitter, which is kind of like an X-Men fan account, and on their tweet, they had all of the Fantastic Four being listed, not just Sting. Now, I don't know whether or not the other characters will be referenced, whether the other characters will be featured in some kind of super, some kind of animation, some kind of theme, we don't know, right? We are only looking at people data mining the game, finding names, finding this, finding that, and we're trying to make sense of it. One thing you have to take into consideration is that for year one, there's only 3 more slots. We're looking at potentially about 7 characters here. Now, obviously, you could lay those out and say, okay, well, this is season 1, this is season 2, this is season 3. But I think that some of these names will probably just be a reference, will probably just be some kind of feature, and won't actually turn into a character. But some of these other ones, like Doctor Strange and The Thing, are highly likely. But you guys let me know what you think down below. Comment, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, but that's it. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.